What is up? All right, I'll let some of y'all get in here. We're live today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Say hello as you come in. Please hit the like button. Have something very special planned for y'all today. We're going to be interviewing Curtis Witt, who's now the CEO of the Dealmakers Institute. And one of the things that he's done an amazing job of over the last year is just go really deep. I mean, y'all will notice we really haven't been promoting it. We haven't done any ads. We haven't done any of those things, which will change. But right now, it's been beautiful because we've just gone deep with each client. And it's cool for me. Last week we get on the call and just everybody's doing high level deals, and so I think there are like 7 people on that call, and we're talking at such a high level, which is something that makes it really enjoyable for me. And so our goal, with Dealmakers Institute, is we want to get you to the point where you're able to be a part of those conversations, be a part of those deals. We're talking. One of the clients is in Miami. One of the other members is in Turkey. I'm in South America, and we're talking about trying to close a deal that's in Texas and Mississippi. So, it's very cool conversations and going through the deal structure and all those kind of things. And then just the opportunities that come when you have so many different people with a lot of different backgrounds is just really cool, and seeing that expertise. So we're going to do kind of a deep dive. I want to do a deep dive with Curtis. We're going to go through a little bit of his background. It's just very high up in corporate America, realized he wanted to do some different things and made a step into an entrepreneur, but he was a part of Private Equity Fund 1, which, I definitely handpicked the people just to see if that was going to be something. So he got to see the Private Equity Fund incubator when it was just the inkling of an idea of like, hey, I think maybe we could pull something like this off. So he got to see me trying to figure out, okay, how's this thing going to work? And eventually became CEO of Dealmakers Institute. But most importantly, we're going to get into deals. He had 1 month where he closed on 4 businesses, which is just absolutely incredible. Just closed this month another deal that we're going to do a deep dive kind of walkthrough. You can kind of see the structure of the way that we're closing deals right now. So before we jump in, we'll just say quick hello to Montreal. Thanks for popping in. Lemaire says, I'm 100% tuned in. Thank you. Please be sure to hit the like. If you're not a subscriber, you should definitely subscribe because I go live a lot, and you have to hit subscribe and hit the notification so you can be a part of these conversations and get to ask the people I interview questions and all that good stuff. If you didn't check it out, check out the video from, when was that, Monday. That was a great interview as well. All right, let's bring Mr. Witt in. What is up, sir?
Hey, Ace, how you doing, buddy?
I am great. It finally on the channel. There was some kind of miscommunication where it was like, okay, like, I want you to come on the channel. He's like, well, I don't know really when. You didn't say when. And so we've been just going at it, just heads down for a year.
Almost.
And I am just now getting you on the channel, which is craziness, man. So this is Curtis Witt. He is the CEO and has been doing an amazing job with Dealmakers Institute. So I'm way overdue in bringing you on. So welcome, sir.
Thank you. It is truly a pleasure to be with you as well as the rest of the audience. I know they chomp at the bit to get the knowledge. So maybe we can bring something valuable this afternoon.
Awesome. So let's jump in. I want to start with your background first, just so people could get to know you and just hear kind of where you came from before getting into all this deal making stuff.
Right. So a serial entrepreneur. I actually started as a financial planner, had a little deal in the Bay Area, decided to come and work for corporate America. And my first job, quite honestly, was a utility worker. And a utility worker is a highly paid janitor. So, so I worked my way up from literally waxing floors to being an executive in the Boeing company. And I traveled around the United States teaching in engineers how to, quite honestly, innovate. And we basically saved the Boeing company millions, hundreds of millions of dollars over that 10-15 year period of time. I retired early, ended with bringing an online college, the Boeing Quality College, online. It took us about about a year to bring that college online, and that's when that was done. I called it a day and started. It's kind of funny because I had had a previous engagement with H. Chapman and decided that I stopped and said, no, I'm going to go do Amazon. And so I did FBA for a couple of years. And then I'm like, you know what? I rather buy the business and so I looked you guys back up, and the rest is kind of history.
Well, I think that's an important part of the story, even going back to when, you were basically a janitor and then moving up step by step to where you got to get some experience at doing something at a massive company that's come in handy now.
Absolutely.
Figuring out, okay, where can we save this money? And I remember our first conversation where it's just like, wow, like, okay, that's some really great experience.
Let me just say, I think that there was two pieces that was very important. The first part was the ability to understand processes and then improve those processes. That was very important. And then the second part was just the ability to pivot as you go along. And so my career was literally every 3 years I changed jobs, but I was what they call initiative wave hopping. I just basically, when one initiative was going down, I'd jump on another one, and so that's what I did for basically the better part of 25, 29 years, literally.
Yeah.
I started with Similac on my breath. So, as a kid, as a pup, basically.
I think that's something that's important, for the folks that tune in to the video, wherever you are, be sure, even if it's just somebody who's working under management, be sure to pay attention to that company's processes and, how you're managed and how they're doing the training. Everything that you're experiencing inside of a profitable business, whether it's the Boeing company or Wendy's, is things that you can take once you get into buying and selling businesses. And then I don't want to gloss over the FBA experience, because I think that's where we get most of the people that end up coming. I know you talk to a lot of them, are people that have gone through the process of trying to start a business. And we can talk about the statistics all day long, but the truth is, even when and this is one of the things that people don't realize, but even when you make money and things are going well, you still have to figure out the systems around building that business and, putting all that in place from scratch, as opposed to buying a business. So what were the things that kind of spurred you to say, okay, you'd come across what we were up to, then you went and decided to do the entrepreneur thing. So what was the thing where you realized, what, because things were going pretty well from what I know.
Yeah.
But you like, okay, no, this is not for me. I want to go and I want to do acquisitions.
So it was the cost of delivery. It was cost in terms of time, comparatively speaking, to the offset of how much money am I actually bringing in versus the time that I'm spending. And so the delivery cost, that's the first thing. And the second thing is when I really clearly understood that I could go buy income as opposed to making income, that's a differentiator it was a differentiator for me. So I have a whole room full of toys and products, et cetera, that I got to box and ship because I was doing arbitrage, and that takes a long time, comparatively speaking, to, what we teach, in DMI in terms of buying income. And so from that perspective, that made the click for me. It was like, you know what, let's go look at a different alternative where we can buy what we need in terms of the income. And so that was the turning point for me. That was the clicker for me.
Yeah. Well, I think for a lot of folks, it takes time, because it's one thing to hear, okay, you can just go buy income. And, it sounds interesting. It sounds novel. But once you realize that it's literally the same as going to buy a house or going to buy a car, I think it's very difficult to go back,
Right.
and I'm tempted, even when we have businesses, as where it's like, okay, we've got this business, we've got that business, they can JV and kind of create this new business. And even when you've got that on the table, it's like, yeah, or we could just go buy the other business and use both of these to drive more business. And it's just like, yeah, it's just like at every case, I'd rather go finance and especially right now when financing is, you got all these
so low. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a deal maker's dream environment right now.
So I want to talk about, we'll spend a majority of time going into deal makers. I want to talk about your experience, and then like what we're up to right now, and most importantly, these folks that watch are deal junkies. So I want to talk about some of your recent deals that you've been closing. But before we get into that, let's give a couple of the things that you walked away from the private equity fund incubator, with just paradigm shifts or anything that you walked away from that with.
Absolutely. So for me in PEFI 1, the most important thing was the framework, understanding the framework, understanding the difference between a fund and a firm, and how those structures happen. Understanding, I'll tell everybody, ACE gave us probably about 30 books to read. And if you go through all of those books, you have a clear understanding of an excitement, true excitement about what this means. And you could take that knowledge and condense it down to what we were doing, because we're buying micro businesses, if you would, less than $500,000, and you take those concepts, all of those concepts, and then you look and see, how can I utilize those concepts in this deal? So for example, deal structure, and taking what all of the big guys were doing, $1 billion, $100 million deals, and then utilizing that same structure for a $300,000 deal or a $200,000 deal or even an $80,000 deal. Because at the end of the day, the structure doesn't necessarily change. Some flexibility, but the structure doesn't necessarily change. The dollars change, and you will start realizing, hey, I could put in just as much time at 100,000 as I can a $500,000 deal, right? So you cut your teeth on a 50, 60, 80, $100,000 deal, and then you graduate upwards. So from a PEFI perspective, it was the knowledge, it was the structure, and it was the ability to actually be around people who was doing that. Because it's very, very, it's a rare breed of individuals. There's not a lot of people, comparatively speaking, to the larger population that's been interacting and even know how to speak the language. So it was a very powerful year and a half or whatever we spent there. It was tremendous. Related to what you learn as well as what you can put into action. We made some acquisitions, we started some things. It was wonderful. So it can't come, the recommendation can't be higher from my perspective and going into that. And it doesn't really make that much. I don't know what what a tuition is, whatever, but it doesn't matter because it's it's a skill that will pay you millions going forward.
That's really the cool thing is you're walking away understanding something that less than 1% of the people on earth understand, and then even less than that have ever done. There's just so few general partners out there and that's one of the reasons that it's such an opportunity. But the foundation of all of this is Dealmakers. That's where my passion lies. And so, you obviously went through the process, went through the program. Now you're leading it and helping others and doing an amazing job. And so I want to talk about some of your deals, but I also want to give you a chance to kind of lay out a little bit of your vision and some of the things that we've helped other people get done before we get into your deals.
Fair enough. So let's talk about other people. So our first opportunity was to help what we call the three amigos, three gentlemen from the Maryland area, three really good friends. Those guys are just absolutely wonderful. Shout out to the three amigos. They bought a little hair salon up in the Maryland area. They did very well. I mean, they're doing very well. We're doing some really special things, and we'll probably leverage that into several more. That was one deal we had.
Just to cut in, I mean, it's important to say that all of them are 20-something. What I mean?
They're actually, they're 26. Right? Okay. So this year they should be 27, right? 27, 28. Most of our folks that have actually bought deals very quickly are sub 35. We had Jen who got a deal online so their deal was offline, and they are actually moving from brick to meta, if you would, to online. And one gentleman bought a online property where he actually utilized the resources that was inside the company to actually buy the company, which is one of the things we teach as well. Look at all the resources that you have available before you spend a dime. Look at everything, including, seller finance, PPP loans, et cetera, in order to actually leverage that creatively to buy the business. So, we've probably during our tenure, we probably buy one every 6 days. So someone buys a business one every 60 days. My track record is certainly one every 60 days, a little less, one every 45 days.
Yeah, so. If we're including you, we're definitely closing one every 6 days at least.
Yeah. Probably if you include me, it's one a month. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but I think that is an important thing that people should realize is there's a huge opportunity right now because everybody's focused on internet-based businesses. And so a lot of people, and we were for years, that's where our focus was. Now the multiples, people ask me like, what do you think about internet deals? It's not about them being bad. It's just that everything ebbs and flows. There's times where certain things are a really great opportunity and times where others are a better opportunity. And right now, offline businesses are a better opportunity. And that's one of the things that I loved about the guys that closed a deal in Maryland is that, I think a big opportunity is taking these offline businesses and helping to grow. But most of them, their internet strategy is non-existent. Their internet strategy is you can find our phone number and our address on our website and maybe some prices sometimes. To be able to really embrace the internet, not only from marketing and all that stuff, but build a standalone business, leveraging that offline business's brand, because that offline business, in a lot of cases, we're buying businesses that are 20, 30 years old. And so they have brand recognition, they have trust. And so you are missing out on opportunity by not just at least giving some kind of access to the people that already love that brand to do business with you online in some capacity, and let alone use that as a foundation to start to grow a internet only clientele. And so it's just, man, when we're looking at these deals, it's so crazy that everybody's kind of running to the internet, which, it's great. That's probably the other reason we haven't done this interview yet. It's like just been heads down closing deals, man.
Exactly. So we really call it create a digital enterprise. Well, Amazon is a digital enterprise. It's literally a digital enterprise with a physical presence. And what we're trying to do, basically, we buy the physical presence and then create a digital enterprise, if you would, a digital twin, such that it encompasses e-commerce, it encompasses an NFT VIP membership, it encompasses DeFi investment, it encompasses metaverse experience, so all of that. And in addition to that, and what it does, it actually lessens the valuation gap or the valuation problem. So the valuation problem is this: 2 wig shops, one in Naples, Florida, one on the internet. The wig shop on the internet, the e-commerce wig shop, they can both be doing the same exact free cash flow, but the internet one is more valuable than the one that's physical. And it's because of the industry multiple. You're getting 4.5 for a multiple as it relates to the internet, and you're getting 2 multiple as it relates to the physical. And so we solve that problem with creating a digital enterprise. And not only we solve that problem, we literally 10x value of that digital enterprise, comparatively speaking, to its physical property. And that's what we're doing. That's what actually makes us a lot different than everybody else. Everybody else is still focusing in on buying business, how you buy business, no money down. That's how child's play. That's table stakes for us. It's table stakes. It really is. It's the one thing I loved about what we used to do is we used to come up with all these acronyms: ATE. Guys, remember this: ATE, acquisition, transformation, exit. Acquisition, transformation, exit. We show you how to acquire the thing. We show you how to transition or transform it to a digital enterprise. And then we have 7 ways of exiting, including, you can retain it. You can spin off the digital piece of it, and so we that's why there's no competition as it relates to, people selling courses and things of that nature, because we're not in that business. We're in the business of transforming and exiting, or keeping. If you choose to, you can retain all of that cash flow, but we're in the business of transforming to a 10x as opposed to, just running the business, because it's no fun.
Yeah, I think it's that part of just talking about, it's not just about a course, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. It's like we're trying to, our main goal is doing deals. Even for me and you, our main goal is doing deals. And so why would we not want to bring people in that we can do more deals with, as opposed to what most people do? It's like, hey, buy this course and you just go through these videos. Like, obviously, like, we got a bunch of video, we can just do that. But instead, it's like, man, if you really come in, and a lot of people will kind of end up disappearing or just kind of slowly drifting into the shadows because they just want to go from course to course watching videos. So if that's what you're into, you're probably not going to benefit from it. But if you're really looking to go out and buy income, like, that's really your goal, that's what we focus on, and that's something I'm very proud of about our process. Let's take a couple of these questions, and then I want to get into some of your deals.
Sure.
All right. So Lamaria said 100% tuned in. Andrew popped in.
Andrew, my man.
Duval says
Definitely.
Curtis popped in, conducting in tomfoolery. I love his username. It says 100, agreeing to something. I don't know when it popped up, but it's agreeing to something we were saying. Shalina says,
There's Shalina.
hey, Curtis, great to see you guys are crushing it. Great to see you, Shalina. Thanks for popping in. We got, hey, Ace, Curtis, and he said, hey, to Andrew up top. Hope everyone is doing
Love it.
well. Cool. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, you can pop them in and we'll go over those here in a sec. So Curtis, yeah, I'll leave it up to you. I mean, you've closed a lot of deals. One of the most impressive things was, there was one month it was like, hey, got one deal. This deal just closed. Next week, hey, we just was able to get this across the finish line. Next week, ended up being like 4 deals in a month. So that was back like August, September time. So I know you've been hustling away on those, but then I love the deal structure of this deal that you just closed. So if you want to talk through that, and I may pop in and ask for clarification just so folks can learn a bit from this deal.
Okay. So one of the things that we decided to do, and one of the things that Ace preaches, is around the notion of your first banker or your first financier is the owner. And so we created this deal structure that basically we called it the sustainable deal structure. And in essence, it is having the owner and the broker, quite honestly, participate in the financing of the deal. And so we try to give a down payment. Then we have the owner actually take back some or finance a portion, and then to keep the owner engaged based on what we basically tell them in terms of what we're trying to do and sell them on the vision of where we're trying to take their company, we actually ask the owner to keep some equity in the company. So this last deal that we did is doing about $11,000 of free cash flow, and she's selling it for about $225,000. We put a portion down. She financed $100,000, and then she basically took back about 15% as well in terms of equity. And so it basically worked out. Actually, it's about 11%. So we put 100 down, 100 for her financing, and then equity of another 25. We'll finance out the first 100, so we have a long period of time, but she's in it with us. And we found that when we have the owner in with us, they will make the business work, because they're getting 2 payments. The first payment is their equity payment, and the first payment is their debt payment, what the paper carry back. And then the second payment is their equity payment. So they have tremendous incentive to help us not only keep going, but also continue the upward momentum of more cash flow and more revenue generation. And so this deal, the wonderful part about this is when you start looking at it and you start really do this, found that she was actually having about $7,000 of cash flow that somehow wasn't on the balance sheet, wasn't present.
$8,000 or how much you say?
About $7,000. It was roughly about 84. It was roughly about $84,000 of cash flow that nobody ever saw. So because we initially went back and said, hey, this valuation, you're asking for 200 and some odd $1,000, and we only see a cash flow of about 50,000. What's going on? And she said, well, look at my books. This is 73-year-old young 73-year young lady who basically opened up her books like an open ledger, those old time bookkeeping. And she had credit cards, cash, and wait, hold it. Let me see that cash, and go all the way down at the bottom. December 2021, $84,000. $84,000, write the check to that lady right now. All we have to do is agree to the structure, because, and it was just basically sitting in the safe. She had earned enough over that year that she put in a savings account, just that money. And she was over $100,000 when we consummated the deal.
Now,
So,
the important thing there is that, that's one of the reasons that with a lot of these deals, you do have to dig in, you do have to talk to them, you do have to review all the numbers and, spend time in the business doing due diligence. But the real cool thing about that structure, and I know you're going to talk about even with the down payment, but the cool thing is it went from what seemed to be a 4 multiple to barely over a 1 multiple.
right.
But then the even cooler thing is, even with the down payment, if you did pay the down payment, you're literally making more in that year than the whole down payment, than the total amount of cash that you're putting up. But you had a creative way to make sure that even that part was covered. That I think would be cool to share with folks.
Right. So the first part of the down payment was we structured it such that we got the investors to put up the money. It's a literally 1 year and a half year type of investment. We gave them a high interest rate, and then we'll go and refinance out of that after 18 months or so to make sure that they that they get their money, and we'll finance out of it. Thanks. So that was
the one that you used the PPP.
Yeah. So that was a previous deal. We used
I got you. So I thought that one was really cool too. But yeah, this one that's great. But
this was so really interesting because I'll talk about that. So we used PPP loan. We're leveraging. So everyone should understand, when you go in, you're doing 2 levels of due diligence. You're doing the due diligence related to operational. So we do 3 levels of due diligence. The first is the customer experience, where we just ask, tell me when the customer first walks in the door, what happens? I want to know what happens from the greeting to the deposit. And so they take you through all of that process. Through taking you through that process, it's the customer goes to the cash register. Okay, now I'm into operational, because what's the POS system? What's the, all of the systems that make that go, right? So I do customer experience, operation, and then I go to the financial forensics. And so in looking at everything that happens in the financial forensics, you get a really good understanding, no matter where you are in the world, of how to run that business, right? Yeah. And what we discovered was they had 5 W-2 employees. So she has renters, booth renters. She has people who are on commission, 1099 employees, and then she has W-2 employees. Well, there is something called the employee tax rebate or payroll rebate that the government is basically offering a rebate on the taxes that were paid as a payroll tax to it's a employee retention, in essence. Very similar to a PPP loan, but you don't have to pay it back. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to pay it back. So literally, we'll get about $75,000. And because she didn't know that money was there, and we didn't know that money was there, we'll take that money and apply it to the money that we owe her, such that it'll literally pay the debt that we owe her will literally pay for itself, which is absolutely. So now we are really winning, right? We did one where we took over the PPP loan. I mean, we look using every asset in the company. We don't miss a beat in terms of the forensics of how we can really how we're able to finance the deal creatively without taking a dime out of our pocket. And I always liken it to, how can I eat without having any money? How can you eat without having any money? You come up with a litany of things. How can I buy this company without having a dime of my own come out? including paying myself at the end, paying myself, because people don't understand that, including making sure I have all the closing costs, making sure I have the 1 to 2 months of working capital. All of those things become important. When you walk into the door, chances are you're going to have to pay rent. Where's that money going to come from? So you got to take all of those things into consideration as you are structuring the deal. And that's what we did. And that's what we teach. And that's how we do it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, I think is important when you're talking about coming up with how do you want to structure that deal? I think it's great. Obviously Curtis and I come in and we've got some expertise, but it's also really good to have a group of people that are brainstorming through those deals with you.
Absolutely.
So you're taking advantage, because it's not just like, in some cases, maybe PPP isn't even the right move. There's, you want to consider some other structure. And so it's looking at the gamut of opportunities and figuring out what's the right deal structure for this specific deal. And so that's something that is a lot of fun for us to do, but it's not just us. I actually heard this said by somebody else who I was saying, like, a great mentor. I guess that's my next thing coming up. So we'll wrap up. But man, time flew by. I can't believe I just realized we're at 36 minutes, man. This has flown by. So
a 15-minute interview at 36 minutes now.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I heard this saying. They were basically saying, like, a good mentor is going to show you the route forward to get to where you're trying to go. A great mentor will also surround you with a group of people that are on that same path, that will be encouraging and be able to work together with you as a team. And, I feel like that's a lot of what we do. So we'll go through some of these questions and get out of here so I can get to my next thing. But Curtis, this has been amazing. All right. So we got Dream Getaways. He said, can you give names of a business you bought? You want to share any name of one of the salons that you've acquired?
We just acquired we're mostly in the personal care business. And the reason why we're in the personal care business is you can't go get your hair done on the internet. You can't get your nails done on the internet. You can't get a massage on the internet, etc. One of the companies that we just bought down in South Florida was a company called Turning Heads. That's the last company we just talked about. Bought a nanny company as well. So don't want to give away too much, but Turning Heads was our last one, and we're really interested in doing a lot of deals around the personal care space.
Love it. Awesome. All right. Abide in the Vine. He asked,
Abide in the Vine.
How do you JV with you guys? What kinds of people are you looking for? So I want to see everything. If I look at my most current deals, it's everything from finance. We talked about the anime studio the other day. We're doing a deal that's on a business that's in the music space. So I mean, that's just like from finance to animation to music. So we want to look at anything. Curtis just talked about the business and then one of the coolest deals is actually in the CBD space. But personal care, massage, hair. But we just want to see everything, quite honestly.
We're really deal agnostic.
Deal. Yeah.
We're industry agnostic. It's not really about the industry per se. It's really about the deal per se.
No. Awesome. All right, we'll get one more question and then I gotta bounce out of here. This one question. This is Renee says, "Hey Ace, great info. Thanks for popping in and appreciate it. Be sure if you haven't to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit notifications so you can get in and be a part of these conversations." We'll take this last one.
Absolutely, Mr. Harris. Absolutely, this will work in the transportation. I have a guy that is buying trucking companies. and we started with what's the multiple of the trucking company, what should it be bringing in, et cetera. So it absolutely works in the transportation space, especially it works in any space. Again, it's industry agnostic. It doesn't matter. The deal structure is the deal structure, and it's the concept of what you're trying to apply. It works across the board. It's gravity. Gravity is going to work whether you're at the top of the house or at the top of the Empire State Building. You fall, you fall.
Love it. All right. Yes, we do. Take that one real quick. By Distressed Businesses. And we'll end with Montreal. Fantastic interview. Curtis is what he meant. Awesome,
Thanks,
Curtis.
man.
I'm out of bounds. I really appreciate your time. This has been
absolutely,
really,
guys.
really cool. And
absolutely.
To everyone that came on, thanks for the questions. And I'll be back soon.
All right. Thank you.